Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, as you can tell by the title and the thumbnail, Tier has become Tier 0. Kind of. Not really. No, it hasn't. In Master Duel. But how can we counter Tier? One of the decks that has been popping up is Exosister. Exosister did exceptional both in the OCG and the TCG against Tier. Why? Because it can banish cards from the graveyard and interact really well when your opponent does stuff in the grave. You know, you activate Vadis, you summon some monsters, your opponent then goes and does Tier stuff, and then you're able to activate your Exosisters and, like, lock them out of the grave. You know, with things like your Asfiel, with things like Mika to potentially banish another one, and with Caspitel. Great, fantastic. That's the general idea. However, in Master Duel, if you're not playing against Tier, this deck is terrible. I'm just going to straight out say it. This deck, against anything that's not Tier, is pretty mid. It loses to just about every interaction, and it does have a tendency to brick, right? You don't really want to play all of the Exosister cards, or specifically the names, because they're not all equal. Some of them are good. Ellis is fantastic. Stella is really good. Martha is exactly what the deck needed. And then we have Sophia and Irene. And with only really 9 good main deck monsters, and the necessary requirement to seeing them being you have to play basically multiple of them, yeah, it's not the greatest. It's not terrible, don't get me wrong, but it's not the greatest. On top of that, Prosperity, one of the best cards for Exosister, both in the TCG and in the OCG, is currently limited to 1 in Master Duel, where it does matter. This deck has a horrible time breaking again, so being able to go Prosperity to search out something like, I don't know, Martha, is fantastic. So let's quickly do the card by card and explain the deck. So first and foremost, we are playing a few hand traps. We're playing triple Ash Blossom, triple Maxx C, and triple Infip. The reason for this is just due to the fact that these are the best ones. We are playing Ash, which seems a bit weird in the current meta, but it's because we do lose very hard to Maxx C. So yeah, there's that. On top of that, it's just like a decently good hand trap to play. You could also play like... Another reason is that it can be discarded and it doesn't have to go to the graveyard, unlike, you know, Maxx C or DD Crow or something like that. And since we are also playing Dimensional Fissure, that's why we're doing that. Oh, also we're playing Dimension Shifter. Forgot to mention that. Yeah, so there you go. Lots of hand traps. Moving on, we are also playing, of course, the Dimensional Fissure. Just activate it, turn off the graveyard, and only for monsters, which is pretty nice, but it being a spell is very nice as well, so we don't have to like set it for a turn. You can just activate it going second, and now your Tier opponent is offline, so that's very nice. Moving on, we are playing a lot of Exosisters, but only, okay, it's actually only a few. I think we're playing 12, and that is the Ellis, triple Stella, triple Martha, and then of course the double Sophia and the 1 Irene. We're playing a Sophia at 2 because it's kind of good with another Exosister to be able to draw a card, but on top of that, we're playing the Irene so that we can grab the Sophia off of Vadis. That's basically the only reason for that. Moving on, we are playing the 1 Duster, double triple Tactics. Triple Tactics is just very good in general. Being able to steal a monster, being able to look at your opponent's hand, being able to draw 2, all of which is good. Of course, we're playing the double Called By and the 1 Prosby. We're playing triple Exosister packs, just the search card, very nice. 1 Arment. Arment can come up occasionally if you basically already have your Vadis and your Returnia, but still had access to Mika. Basically, you grab the Arment. That's mostly what it's used for, not all that useful. Honestly, grabbing packs is probably more useful. We're playing double Vadis and double Returnia, 2 very good cards. Vadis being able to special summon it out to Exosisters, meaning you can chain it to something that would like fusion summon with the Tiers in order to then get both of your Exosister cards online, and fusion summoning, or Exi summoning, sorry. And then we have Returnia to banish cards. Pretty nice. And then 1 of Gozen. Look, Gozen's at 1. We're playing basically only lights, and yeah, it's just, it's really good. Guess what? Tier has both water and dark monsters, so it does hit them, as well as it hits a myriad of other decks, and it's just an unfair card in general, and so yeah, of course we're playing it. So let's hop into the extra deck. We're playing an Abyss Dweller just because it's pretty decent. Yes, technically, I believe it's Asfiel. It does the same thing. but Abyss Dweller is also very good because of the fact that it doesn't have to activate on the turn it's summoned. So you can actually just like make it and then sit on it if you know that you're playing against Tear, and then Abyss Dweller them on their turn, which is very nice. We're playing the one Baguska, we're playing triple Mika, triple Caspatel. These are the searchers. We have the double Gabrine as well as double Asfiel, because both of their effects are pretty decent. Gabrine is good for OTKs, and Asfiel is good for locking down specifically the Tear stuff, so being able to summon this is very nice. And then double Magnifica. Magnifica is just very good in general, being able to OTK, being able to banish and disrupt and stuff like that, and potentially go into another Mika, very strong. And then of course, Zeus. Of course we're playing this. So that's it for the deck. Let's hop into the replays and show you how this deck performed. Alright, so here we are going second against something. I don't know. Let's find it. It's against Tear. I'm just going to tell you that right now. But yeah, we're going to activate the Maxx C here, which should slow down our opponent. And we drew the Dimensional Fissure, which is pretty nice. So my opponent is going to send a whole bunch of things. They're going to activate their SnowiKs. They're going to grab up the Havnus here. They grab up the Havnus because they are under the Maxx C. Normally you grab Merly and do the Merly Donkey Sploinky here. But they're just going to go for the kit here, activate the effect in order to grab SnowiKs. SnowiKs, set one, and pass. Pretty good. This is one of the things that makes Tears very good. They can play around Maxx C very effectively. Just grab Havnus, grab SnowiKs, and then you're able to play on the opponent's turn. And we draw for turn a second Pax. We also drew the Called By. Called By is not going to be very good due to Dimensional Fissure. However, we do have Called By for the Maxx C that comes down, and then they activate their Keldo. I kind of expected this. Not really anything I do about that. So they're going to shuffle it back so the Called By doesn't resolve, and we're just going to chain the Pax here. They're going to activate SnowiKs, which is funny, but yeah, we're going to grab up the Martha here. Realistically, this could have been anything, but Martha just worked the best. So we're going to special summon the Ellis. They're going to activate their Scream. They're going to banish some of their own cards. But out comes Mika. I do this incorrectly. Realistically, what I should have done is activate the effect to search, and then if they chain the SnowiKs, then we can banish it, making it resolve without effect. Or not resolve, I guess. But yeah, I did it wrong. I activated the first effect to banish. It didn't really matter all that much because at this point, we basically have the game on lock due to Dimensional Fissure. They're just going to keep banishing cards. They banish like all of their Shufflers, all of their Millers. I'm going to detach the Mika here because we do have Pax. So we can detach the Ellis in order to then special summon a Stella from the deck due to Pax's effect. So yeah, that's why I detached there for the secondary effect. We're going to set the Gozen match as well, and at this point the game is over. They're under Dimension Shifter. I get to flip up a Gozen match as well, and yeah. They're going to go Foolish Burial, dumping Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries, and then they're going to go for Diviner of Herald, which doesn't do anything, and I'm going to flip up the Gozen match, locking them into lights, and they surrender. Yay, Exosister! Alright, so here we are once again going second, and this time we drew Dimension Shifter instead of Maxx C. I'm firing these in the draw phase because either my opponent plays around them or they don't. Doesn't really matter. Either I don't want them or I'm playing around triple tactics. That's basically it, right? So yeah, there you go. Anyway, they're going to go and activate their Terraforming to grab the Perlino and set one and pass. Great, fantastic. The game is now over. Yeah, the game is over. I draw into the Gozen match again. This didn't matter. We just have the game already because we now know that they are on Ishizu Tear, so we can just make the Caspatel here. We're going to search out a monster. I actually do this incorrectly. Realistically, I should have gone into the Mika here. Should have gone for Mika, but I went Caspatel in case they had something like Ash Blossom. But I grabbed a Sophia and I'm like, oh, I'll just draw into the Ellis, and then I draw into Returnia, so it didn't matter. Turns out I made the better play. So we're going to deal 24 to them and then set 3 and pass. My opponent is then going to go and activate Perlino. Search out the Sheeran. Sure, that's fine. Activate the Sheeran here. They're going to pitch the Merly. Normal summon the Mudora. I flip up the Gozen, which, hey, looks, it ended up mattering, and they will concede. To be fair, it didn't matter. No matter what they did, if they summoned an Xe monster, we just target it with the Returnia, and it's gone, and it's the end of the game, so. Alright, I swear this deck does go first, just as well as it goes second. It just happens to be that the duels that were actually good were when I was going second, because that means that my opponent got to play the game before I just floodgated them out of the deck, or out of the game. So there's that. Anyway, we're going to Ash Blossom this, and of course, you know my opponent drew the Called By. Why would they not? Pot of Desires and Called By, of course. Free Pot of Greed, out comes the Emergence. Well, sure. Out comes Moye. Moye effect, they're going to reveal Protoss. Oh no, can't allow that. So we're going to negate the Moye there. And then, of course, they are, I mean, yeah. Of course they have the long one. And instead of doing the smart stuff where you go into Qishao and then you banish the Blackout in order to go into like a Changying, and now you have a Qishao and a Changying, they just make Baron. Now, the reason for that is probably because they're playing one Blackout, and it's currently the set card. So this is the better play, given the current circumstances. It's fine. Burn for 12. Fantastic! Well, let's see what we can do here. So first things first, we draw to a second Martha, and out comes Maxx C. I literally cannot do anything about that because my opponent has called bide the Ash Blossom. That's fine. We're going to activate the Pax, which does force out the Baron negate, which is hilarious because that's a terrible negate. But it's fine because now we can activate our Martha, special summon the Ellis, and of course, out comes the Blackout. We're not dead, and that's the important part. So my opponent is going to draw for turn, and then you're going to activate the Pot of Desires that they drew off of Maxx C. You love to see it. That's fine. This time, okay, they don't have the call by. That would have been insane. But yeah, they do have it. The Moye. They're going to put me very low on life points. I'm now at 1,300. And basically, we have one activation of a spell trap. And we draw triple tactics. You know, it's fine. Anyway, we're going to go and activate the other Martha that we had in our hand to go for the Mika. Mika is then going to activate its effect in order to search. I do it correctly this time. And then we are going to banish in the second, or in the same chain, because it's a quick effect. We're going to search out the Returnia, because here we can walk over the opponent's monster, set the Returnia, and then no matter what they draw into, we get to banish it, right? So if they have anything here, we just get to go Returnia and banish, and then we have, you know, additional draws to potentially get us into this, and we have the Mika search as well. We draw into Stella. We're going to now activate our Mika here in order to grab a Pax, because we haven't actually had the necessary, or we haven't needed to activate the Returnia, which means that we can activate the Pax, paying the 800, and then we could search out the Ellis, which would then be able to gain us an additional 800 and an XZ, which should have been lethal there. So yeah, at the very least, well, I don't think it was lethal actually. I think I was a little bit off. But yeah, there you go. Good game. Alright, here we are, once again going second, and once again we have drawn the Cockroach. So we're going to fire this in the draw phase. I swear, I went first with this deck mostly. Well, that's not true. I went first with this deck a lot, and I won. It's just that none of the games were good, so we're not showing you any. Out comes Long One. Sure, that's fine. We're going to draw a bunch, and this is basically just an example, another example of why we don't take the Maxx C challenge. This board is really good, except for that it was made under Maxx C. So, yeah, I end up just absolutely clowning on them. So they're going to go and activate a whole bunch of their effects in order to grab up cool cards. They're going to grab up the Blackout. They drew Monster Reborn, which is hilarious. Why are you playing this? But that's fine. Out comes the Moye. Moye effect is going to reveal the Blackout, and then they're going to grab up the last token. Then they are going to go for the Dragite. We are then going to Ash their draw there. They're going to let that happen. I drew the second Ash, so it's like, yeah, why not? And we know that this is Blackout as well. So I do want this Duster to resolve. Anyway, we're going to start off with Pot of Prosperity, kind of fishing for something. They don't bite. Okay, that's fine. We're going to reveal a whole bunch of cards. Oh, Imperm. Imperm is very good here. It forces out a negate from either the Dragite or the Baron, so we're going to go for that. We're going to target the Baron. They're going to negate with the Dragite. That's totally fine, because now we get to go for the triple attack. They're going to negate with the activation, or sorry, negate the activation with the Baron, which guess what? This says you can only activate it once per turn, which means we can activate it again. So we're going to take their monster. Why are we taking the Baron? Because it forces them to either utilize the Qishao or just let the Blackout be popped here. So that's why we go for that. Or sorry, the Qishao to be popped here. So it forces out that negate as well. While it does turn off the Martha, we can now just go for the Harpy's Feather Duster to deal with the Blackout. And they still don't know what I'm actually... Oh, no, they do because of Pot. Anyway, so we're going to grab up the Stella here, and we are going to then activate the Stella effect in order to special summon the Martha, and then we can go into Mika. We're going to activate the Mika effect. Now, I know what you're saying. Wait, we can trigger the Martha effect with Mika. Yes. However, the problem is that I don't actually want to banish anything in the grave. It's more advantageous for me to deal with Dragite here. I can't, like, walk over it unless I crash with Baron. And, like, if I lock them, because I have Gozen, because I drew it, off of Maxx C, I can lock them into wins with the Gozen. So that's what I want to do, is I want to lock them into wins with the Gozen. And basically, like, turn off their field. Or force them to use the Baron pop on the Gozen. In which case then we have like additional, like we have Returnia and stuff like that. So anyway, we're going to banish the Dragite there. We're going to special summon the Ellis, and then we're going to walk into the field. And it's not like we had lethal anyway due to Prosperity. But yeah, now they're on one card and we have a million. And so we're going to set for and pass, to the which they will concede. Yay? So we are back with the deck, and look, the deck works. It's just horrible. It's horrible, and it makes this meta horribly unfun. I'm just gonna say it right now. Look, I do understand that tier is very powerful, and you do need to take a lot of precautions or a lot of necessary requirements to just out it, right? Dimensional Fissure, Shifter, etc. The problem isn't those cards. To be fair, Gozen fucking sucks. I hate it. But the problem isn't necessarily like the Dimensional Fissure or the Shifter or what have you. It is more so the fact that Exosister has like one play, and it's super boring. And that's like all that they do. They make Magnifica with like Returnia, and then they pass. Or they die to like 2 interactions. Like legitimately. They die so quickly. They brick, they're inconsistent, they die to little interactions, and they floodgate specifically tier out of the metagame. So that's the only real reason why they're even that playable right now, is because of their specifically good matchup against tier. That's like it. If they run up against like Splight, they die. If they run up against Sword Soul, I had a few games where I could compete, but that was because of like Maxx C and double hand traps and stuff like that. You know, bad hands, etc. So, and bad players. So it's just one of those things where it's like, how good is this deck? Great against tier, terrible against everything else, including like Floodgates. Most Floodgates it just dies to, right? Besides like Dimensional Fissure and stuff like that, which means that on the ladder right now it's fine and it can do pretty well, but even now I would be like, nah, don't. It's not worth it. It's so one note. You can get diamond with it, no problem. Sure. Are you gonna have a good time? Probably not. So I'm gonna say, if you really want to have fun, play a Shizu tier. However, that's expensive. But if you want to play another expensive and less fun deck, but is easier, play Flu. Just play Flu. Actually, just play Flunder. Please, just play the other deck. Don't play this one. It is so much more expensive than Flu. Just play Flu. Just play Flu. It does the same thing, and it's more fun, and it's more fun for everyone, and they don't have linear lines, and it actually makes sense. And anyway, yeah, Exosister. There you go. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to see more content like this, as well as more Yu-Gi-Oh, then just be sure to subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye. Shout out to the Frost Guard, my members. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I hope you enjoy the content.